guys, welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman. Over here, we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, April Chapman, and y'all, welcome back to today's show. So, what in the heck happened up in Chicago regarding Walgreens? Well, Walgreens is closing one of their locations on the south side of Chicago on June the 4th. And this store, you guys, this store has been opened in this neighborhood for decades. And the residents are, unfortunately, they are upset. Many of them are seniors, so I get that. Many of them have families and they're people with chronic health conditions. And this pharmacy is close to their community and it is super convenient. So let me be clear. I don't want to mock the elderly. Now, it doesn't mean that they should be alleviated from responsibility of how this happened because it is their voting patterns that brought us to this point. But I don't want to mock the elderly or the mother that's just, look, you trying to get insulin for your baby. I get it. I don't want to mock any of those circumstances. I know Takeaway Sean need his asthma pump. I get that. His ADHD medication. I get that. Any of these prescriptions that people need, regular, everyday, average Americans need for serious health issues. That part is real. However, there are aspects of this conversation that has gone completely off the rails. And when you listen to the people at this press conference, you're going to understand it if you have discernment and if you understand the way the world works. These people are upset that Walgreens in their community is closing. Walgreens has said, listen, this store has experienced unprecedented theft, violent incidents. We have made all the efforts, despite efforts, we've tried to adjust our operations. Safety has become too difficult to maintain. We cannot be profitable if this store remains open. Plain and simple. Here is the point that I've been trying to drive home for several videos now. America is a capitalist society. Best product, best service, best price, competition. The marketplace determines what happens. But in the Black community, although we are Black Americans in this nation, we've been discipled and trained and catechized to function as socialists, which is give us free. We don't worry about profit, but that entities and businesses and organizations exist just to serve us. They tell us you just redistribute the goods and the services and you own nothing and then you're happy about it. So the reason why this community, you did not see them protesting about the spikes in crimes and the fact that you got to lock up the toothpaste and the pregnancy test and the lashes and God knows what else. They didn't have a press conference for that. They didn't have any sort of community organization meeting to talk about what is going on in our local communities in the homes, that crime is spiking, and that our Walgreens is not even safe anymore. They didn't have a press conference to call the community to account for that. They had a press conference when a corporation that exists to turn a profit. I don't know why people think that businesses exist for charitable reasons. That's what the church is for. That's what you, the individual, is for. But a corporation exists to provide you products and services at a price to generate a profit. When insurance premiums and employee safety and loss control become too cost prohibitive to where it doesn't matter how much you price it, they can't make money, that business is going to close. This is not hard to understand. It ain't like Walgreens woke up one day and said, you know what? Grandma Ethel, we're going to ruin her day. We're going to ruin her day and we're going to close up this Walgreens because we don't want Grandma Ethel to have access to insulin 1.3 miles from her home. That's not what happened. This was a business saying we cannot keep operating under these conditions. And so what happens? Like in true politician fashion, there's this gentleman by the name of Alderman William Hall. What did he do? I'm going to show you the clip in a minute. This man turned his press conference opportunity into a moral indictment, not against the trash outcomes in the community that he represents, not against the crime, not against the lawlessness, not talking about how we can work with law enforcement. No conversation about the failed policies or the political culture that made this store unsafe. He wanted to cast aspersions against Walgreens. And do you want to know why? It's because in a socialist, in their imaginations, businesses are not private enterprises. They are public utilities with a cash register that exists to serve you, but to no benefit of themselves. Take a look at this clip. It's short, but it's real stupid and ignorant. Take a look at this clip.
Is it true that folks are stealing? They're stealing everywhere. Because when you cut jobs in people's communities and folks want to figure out how do I provide for my kids, or if I can go to a store and steal a loaf of bread. Is stealing right? No. But what's wrong is first degree corporate abandonment. Because Walgreens should be charged with first degree corporate abandonment. Yes. It should be a crime the way they're treating our elders. Yes. It should be a crime the way they're treating our families.
Y'all, did you hear this? First of all, this man done made up a term called corporate abandonment. Y'all, corporate abandonment is not a crime. It is a consequence. The whole phrase corporate abandonment, it's a worldview all in one sentence. The statement assumes that Walgreens as a corporation owes the community its continued presence, even when the community environment makes it unsafe to do business or unprofitable. But socialists, that's how they think. That's why they want free buses, free childcare, free healthcare, government grocery stores, because it's the mindset behind it. These people cannot, or should I say, they're not equipped to function, thrive, or survive in a capitalist society, right? Because they thrive off of emotional extortion. It started in the civil rights movement, and it's been drilled in these people's minds ever since.
The great psychiatrist Carl Jung said, "It is not what happens to me, it's what I choose to become."
I'm not trying to scare nobody, but we are in danger.
In slavery is a choice. We ask the question, do you choose to be free or do you choose to be a slave?
So you feel like a victim?
I'm a victim. I'm a victim of white supremacy. Yeah.
And so are they holding you back financially?
Well, they can.
Most black people are still at the bottom of every socioeconomic statistic in America because we still deal with the same slave mentality that says, I had no choice.
Those of us that now insist that we're no longer being oppressed and that it's ourselves that are now our worst enemies are in fact gullible, naive, and are ignorant of the true reality.
If you walk around saying that you're oppressed, you're not a man. And you're not an American. When you say you're oppressed, I'm saying you're an heir of Jesus Christ, you're a child of God. Nobody can oppress you.
Our religious heritage is rooted in the regrettable experience of slavery.
And I'm scared. Scared.
When you talk about the vestiges of slavery, that is the vestige of it. A mentality that says that I cannot change my plight, I cannot change my life, I have no choice. The man who says he is free and the man that says he is a slave are both correct. Slavery is a choice.
Know how hard it is to help you understand. Walgreens is not a charity, and it is not the church. It is not your auntie's nonprofit with a folding table and a fish fry fundraiser. Walgreens is a business, a successful one at that, and a business has to pay employees because to generate the tax revenue that keeps these communities going, they have to have a product or service, and it has to be priced competitively. You buy those products, sales tax is generated from that product, and it goes back into the local municipality. But on top of that, the business has to pay employees. In order for the people in your community to have a job, whether it's a part-time job, a full-time job, a pharmacy tech job, a pharmacist job, whatever that job is, the business has to pay those employees. They also have to pay insurance. So if Taquayshawn and Shaquana and them always going to the Walgreens and believe that they are entitled to steal from it, that causes insurance premiums to go up, which makes it very difficult to manage inventory because you don't know if this item is falling and flying off the shelves because people are buying it or they're stealing it. Well, when you look at your profit and loss and you look at your inventory reports, you can see, well, it ain't because of profit. It's because of shrinkage. They're stealing it. Then we haven't even talked about the added expense of trying to protect your employees and protect your staff and to keep them safe. Y'all, a business has to make money. It's the American way. A business has to make money. But when you take in consideration all of the theft, all of the violence, the liability, all of the operational costs, when it becomes too high, a business makes a decision and they leave. This is not racism. It ain't because you're black. It's because you have failed to understand the way the world works and because you view the world from this melanated lens and not a colorblind capitalistic lens. You don't understand and the math doesn't make sense to you. It ain't racism. It is math. Math does not care about your protest signs. The economy does not care about grandma's insulin. You cannot chant your way out of an economic reality. I don't care how many picket signs you hold up and how many little 12-year-old boys with the cute little braids and the twist in his hair. You cannot protest or march your way around profit and loss. You just can't. You can hold all the press conferences in the world. It ain't going to make this stuff disappear. It's not. But this is what happens when the leadership that you elect and put in charge, when that leadership disciples people to be dependent and ushers them into dependency and a dependent mindset instead of personal responsibility, the community then is taught to believe that all of the resources available to them should always be available. But they never teach these people in the community there are certain conditions that are absolutely required in order to sustain the resources. And it is not because all of these people, for the most part, they understand government handout. They understand other people's resources. They don't understand capitalism. And this is why they are saying this is wrong and the business should have just put more security measures in place. Not let's deal with the crime and the law and order issue. Let's deal with the prosecutor to figure out, are you not prosecuting these crimes? Oh, because you implement rules and regulations such as, oh, well, if it's under $1,000, it ain't that serious. It ain't that bad, which basically means any and everything that is stolen from Walgreens, the people who steal are not prosecuted. They're not doing any time. The correctional system, the prison system and jails and policing exists as a corrective measure and a preventive measure. But if you remove that, right, and you put policies in place such as restorative justice slap somebody on the hand and say, I know you stealing because you grew up without a father and your mama wasn't there. It's okay. We're going to give you another chance. Well, think about how many people times 10 or 100 or 1,000 came from those same conditions, and yet you remove the consequences that should be placed on everybody indiscriminately, which is if you steal, this is what's going to happen to you. Well, now you are seeing what happens when you steal and it becomes just the thing to do in the community. Businesses leave. This is something that I want to press on, and I know it makes Black people uncomfortable. I know it does. But if you've been told for decades that Black representation is your way to political power, if we just get the Black leaders that come from our community and look like us, then everything's going to be okay. Well, he looks just like you. And you heard what he said. He wants to blame Walgreens and not blame the people in the community. Many of these people do not have your best interests at heart. They are interested, these black mayors, the aldermen, the city council, even the black pulpit pimp preachers, and all of the activists and the school boards and the nonprofits. They are all working together to keep you blinded to what this is really all about. Your outcomes are the same, and yet you continue to vote for them. Things keep getting worse, and at some point, you have to stop asking, who looks like us, and start asking, what worldview governs them? Representation is not the answer. If these people are not righteous, if they can't just mirror policies and procedures that work regardless of what color you are, then they're useless. Representation without wisdom and understanding the way the world works is just a photo op with some melanin. Okay? You have to have law and order. And without law and order, all you have is chaos with campaign slogans. I talk about this so much on my channel. It's because you can foresee how these communities end up as food deserts. It's because there is a worldview that undergirds the policies. When your leaders try to normalize or excuse or explain away lawless behavior, they excuse theft, talk about, well, him had it hard. It's just a little, $50 theft charge. They locking us up just for petty crimes. Well, those petty crimes have large scale consequences. You can't demonize a business and expand dependency and train people to see themselves as permanent victims and then be shocked and confused. Yes, now these people are groaning and they're calling this systemic racism, and it's not. Their minds are messed up. Their minds are messed up and they're groaning. And what you're hearing is the sound of bad leadership producing bad fruit and looking for a scapegoat to blame. That's what this is. Capitalism requires a set of basic laws that are universal, that work regardless of what color you are. Why? Because capitalism cannot thrive in chaos. Markets require mutual trust. It requires safety, property rights, respecting and understanding that people have property rights. Socialism, you don't get that. In socialism, there's always chaos because it's always scarcity and lack, because they're always looking to one person, the government, as the source of the resources, right? And when government's involved, there's really no contracts. Mutual consideration. There has to be contracts. And then there are consequences. They require consequences. You have to have some basic moral order. Listen, when John Adams said that our Constitution is only designed, is wholly designed for a moral and a religious people, and it is wholly inadequate for any other. This is why you're seeing things are starting to erode and break down, because we're trying to force a bunch of Marxists and socialists to function in the freedom that capitalism provides, and those worldviews clash. They cannot coexist. Just like a store such as Walgreens cannot function if people can steal with no fear. The pharmacy can't function if the staff members don't feel safe. Do you really think that somebody wants to go all through undergrad and then go to a pharmacy school to get a job that pays relatively well only to work behind plexiglass? If employees don't feel safe, they're not going to want to work there. A business can't stay open if the cost of doing business exceeds the benefit of staying. This is what happened here. This is not complicated. But I hate to see wherever they get these black folks from for this photo op, where were you when the crime started getting out of control? When you saw people like Brandon Johnson implement restorative justice, soft on crime, police rules and regulations in place that prevents law and order, that prevents law enforcement from doing their jobs. Where was the protest? You didn't see one. And do you know why? Because socialist-minded leaders, they don't think in these kinds of terms or categories. They don't think in terms of production. They think in terms of redistribution. That's how they stay in power. I'm going to continue to expose this if it's the last thing I do. That alderman right there and the rest of them that think just like him, they are the problem because they never ask what conditions are going to help a business stay, and then let's figure out how to create those conditions. No, instead, they're like, well, how do we punish a business when they leave? Talking about first degree corporate abandonment. You thought you sounded real smart with that one, didn't you, Sparky? Well, you don't. You sound dumb. You sound like the ignorant, melanated-minded Marxist Negro that you are. I can't stand none of y'all. You might be a pleasant person in person, but I see through the shenanigans. This is why the cities run by the left are so hostile, and the businesses that these communities need to thrive, it's a hostile relationship, and this is why they leave. Even leftists, I'm talking about leftist progressive, Starbucks is like, we out. I can guarantee Starbucks is going to leave the Seattle area and they're going to move their headquarters to a red state that is business friendly. Because at the end of the day, your heart may bleed for all of the intersectionality boxes that you can check. But at the end of the day, that profit and loss statement, if that math doesn't math, you'll be like, we can have like corporate things that, pull on our heartstrings. But if we can't stay in business, then, what's the point? These are the politicians that create the conditions that make businesses difficult. It is leftist progressives. That's what it is. The businesses leave. And then the politicians stand up there behind a microphone and have the nerve to want to blame the corporation, want to blame greed. And at the end of the day, it's the residents who suffer. And then all the politicians do, what do? Let's demand more government programs to solve the suffering. But they helped create the suffering. It is a loop of dependency that never ends. It's like, listen, it's people keep voting for the same worldview that keeps them trapped. And I'm exposing it. Because at some point, when you have all this compassion without truth, it is cruel. Because I know people are going to say, April, you're always ragging and it's like your needle is stuck on this. What about the seniors? Listen, I care about seniors. And that's more the reason why I get so angry. And it's because the elderly residents are the ones who are going to suffer the most when their leaders refuse to tell them the truth. But then in the same breath, it's a lot of these elderly people who are the ones voting for them because they got a D behind their name. If it's a Democrat, it doesn't matter if it is a static glass of water. They would vote for it because of the D. I get it. Seniors need pharmacies. Families need pharmacies. Children need prescriptions. But the way that you protect access to these things is changing your worldview and then protect the environment that makes it necessary for a business to want to stay. But a socialist doesn't know anything about that. They've never run a business. Like I said, they don't understand the way the world works. The way you keep a business in your community is by the first thing is protection. Protection. This is why Black Wall Street in the 20s failed to exist, because you can have all of that commerce. And it was a wonderful thing. But the first rule of liberty is where they failed. They failed to protect the very thing that they built, because in the altruistic mindset of a people like that is, well, if we built it, surely, no one's going to try to take it. Anything worth building is worth protecting. If you spend all that time and energy and resources into building something, but you do nothing, or you don't even think twice of, okay, how we gonna protect it? You leave yourself vulnerable, and somebody that wants what you have, they will come and take it. That's what happened on Black Wall Street. Them white folks got real jealous and envious and covetous, and they saw all that black enterprise, all them black folks flourishing in economic freedom, and they said, you know what? I bet you what they ain't got is a bunch of guns. They found the vulnerability and they swooped in. If you fail to protect what's yours, then you deserve to lose it. Because it's only free and it's only liberty if you can keep it. And to keep it, you must protect it. And so if a business is operating in a community that is unsafe, you're not going to attract investment by punishing the business owner instead of punishing the criminal behavior. You're not going to help grandma get her medicine by shaking your fist up at the Walgreens after the criminals help chase it away. Why aren't you talking to the criminals? Why have you created a culture where Walgreens or CVS or any of these other pharmacies and grocery stores and banks and businesses, you don't know how to create an environment that makes them actually want to open their doors and operate? Because your worldview is messed up. You ain't got no fathers in the home. There is no law enforcement. The churches are preaching black liberation theology and all of this racial grievance. And then they're also getting the same Marxist-minded curriculum in the school systems. And so politicians are the ones that are creating the very environment that's hurting the people that they serve, but nobody has sense enough to see it. Well, I'm calling it out today. So listen, this video has been long enough. I am curious to know, what is it that you guys think? Are you shocked that Walgreens is leaving, or are you shocked that an alderman had the nerve to label what Walgreens is doing as corporate abandonment, as if Walgreens is in business to ensure that people in the community get whatever it is that they need, even if it means running their business into the ground? Like, only juveniles and children think like this. This is sad and embarrassing. You should really pull this video down because you just sound stupid and ignorant as the day is long. Listen, leave me your comments down in the box below. Until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Stop voting for these melanated-minded Marxist Negroes because they're driving you to a pit. Communities are trash and the outcomes are trash because you keep doing the same thing expecting different results. Leave me your comments down below. Grace and peace, you guys.